I grew up here on a tiny yet magical island off the north coast of Scotland. It's a place teeming with wildlife, history, and our flock of seaweed-eating sheep. Meh. I've left home now and work in Cardiff, the capital city of Wales. But every summer I return to work on the farm. So join me as I make my pilgrimage back to the wild. This is a new series of On to Other News. Back in July, I had a crazy 24 hours that started like this and ended up here. The tranquility of Kirkwall in Orkney felt a long way off when I was watching this moment of British history up close as a reporter. Well, staggeringly, in 24 hours, I'll be in the Orkney Islands, back on the farm, shearing sheep and wearing overalls. But right now I'm doing something just a little bit different. I'm on Downing Street. I've just seen the brand new Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, make his very first speech at the lectern outside the famous Black Door. Tonight I fly to Glasgow, then up to Kirkwall, and then the little boat out to Auskerry to help with Mum and Dad's farm work. So it's going to be quite a 24 hours. Before that though, I had my TV duties to complete, reporting live into an election special of ITV Wales at 6. There is a real feeling in Westminster today and in Downing Street about the seismic nature of this event. This is the first time the Labour Party have formed a government from opposition since 1997. I don't like to remind everyone, but I could barely walk or talk back then. After crossing London on the tube, I took off from London City Airport for the hour-and-a-quarter long flight to Scotland. I landed in Glasgow, where thankfully my mate Ryan lives, so I could finally get some sleep. The next morning I was back to the airport to fly to Kirkwall, the biggest town in the Orkney Islands. This route with the airline Loganair is not cheap, but if you get a clear day, the view of the islands on the way is something else. A beautiful mosaic of fields and coastline, the vibrant blues and greens that are so characteristic of Scottish islands. After all the busyness of the last day or so, not to mention the smells and sounds of big cities, getting to Kirkwall is such a tonic. We're nearly 530 miles from London here, and it really feels it. Roughly 10,000 people live in this town, a place where the sea is never far away. The name Kirkwall comes from the Norse name Kirkjuvar, meaning Church Bay, and there's no prizes for guessing why. This is Scotland's oldest cathedral, named after St Magnus. Construction began in 1137. It was added to over the next 300 years. It's a truly magnificent building. I grew up not far from it, but I still marvel at how people built it without modern tools. But after a quick stop in town, it's time to make the final leg of the journey to the island of Auskerry. My partner Faye has flown up from Cardiff to join me in Orkney, ready to get to work with me on the farm. I love this moment as you leave the harbour en route to Auskerry. There's a sense of anticipation and excitement about seeing the wildlife. Soon we'll be hearing the sounds of the birds on the cliffs, the lapping of the waves by the house, and of course, to be reunited with the sheep. But this journey of around an hour and a half on Andy's boat, the Hattie May, is also a chance to begin the mental transition to life on the farm again. It's so different there to our life in the city. Your brain begins to get into gear for the change of pace, the change of priorities, a readjustment of how you perceive what really matters. Back at home, Faye is a policy and project manager at a Welsh national charity, and yet today she's learning the basics of how to steer a boat. Island life is all about squeezing all the joy and beauty from every moment. We're en route for our annual trip to a place where there's no pub, no cinema, no shops or roads. But when you embrace everything that this remote place can throw at you, there's probably more enjoyment to be found just purely from looking at the sky alone than almost anything you'll have on the mainland. On the journey out, I'm getting increasingly excited and nervous about using my brand new filming toy, a drone. Taking off from my hand on the back of a moving boat in the middle of the North Sea made me literally shake with adrenaline and fear. But wow, was it worth it? As a beautiful day gave way to a stunning evening, the light, the colours were just breathtaking. I've spent so much of my life here, only leaving home properly aged 18, but I've rarely seen the contours and shapes that characterise this place from this vantage point. Auskerry is only small, just 3/4 of a mile from end to end. The farm is about 250 acres in area, but unlike most farms, that's calculated fairly roughly from the average tide line on the shore. Family friend Mira, who you met last season on my channel, has just been on the island again, and sadly she has to leave on the boat we're arriving on. After unloading our stuff, we say goodbye to Mira and Andy. I reckon they'll enjoy the journey back to Kirkwall into the sunset. Then we load up the quad trailer with all the shopping and supplies we brought with us, and with Faye now steering a different vehicle, we're off up the hill to the other end of the island where the house is. Well, welcome to Algary. We're back after 7-8 months away. I'm finally back on the island that I love so much, and what an amazing trip we had to get here. The water completely flat calm right across the trip, which is so unusual here. Not a single breath of wind, and on Andy's beautiful boat. We've got lots of food with us, lots of supplies for the next couple of weeks, and we've got a lot of work to do actually. So Faye has been able to join, my partner, as well as my cousin Jamie. You'll see plenty of him, and my mum Teresa, of course, who's here with us. Unfortunately, Dad is no longer able to be on the farm because of his health, which is sad and very difficult, but he's okay. He's in Kirkwall, the nearest town. So, you know, we have to be lucky. We have to feel lucky for what we still have. And boy, am I going to enjoy being here over the next 2 weeks or so. If it wasn't for all of you who've watched my videos, supported this channel, or bought me a coffee over the last year, I would never have been able to justify buying a drone camera to take here. All I can say to all of you is thank you. I can't tell you how much pleasure it's brought me to film Auskerry from above. You'll see during the videos to come from this season, I've made full use of it. I've not adjusted the colours on this footage at all. This is exactly what it looked like that night in July. I'm absolutely bowled over by seeing my childhood home in this way, and during the golden hour too. The passengers on the Northlink ferry from Aberdeen on the mainland of Scotland to Kirkwall would have had a memorable trip too in this weather. If you ever get the chance to travel to Orkney this way, do give us a wave on the way past. Back at the house, and the sheep are enjoying the calm and warm evening. They probably weren't expecting a chat But I haven't been here for 9 months, so this catch-up is overdue. Then it's time to settle in for the night by our peat fire. When I was last here in October 2023, the weather was somewhat different. This was my last day on the island before I took my parents off for their winter break from the farm work. A gale was blowing, with intermittent rain showers lashing down and fierce rolling waves crashing on the rocks near the house. We didn't know it then, but it would be the last full day my dad got to spend on the island after 49 unbroken years here. My dad has Parkinson's disease and dementia, as well as having a bad knee, so it's just not safe or responsible to bring him anymore. In his more lucid moments, he seems to understand that too. Mercifully though, I think he's still here in his head a lot of the time. This is such an inhospitable scene. I'm only on a brief walk, and yet I'm glad to know I could return home to warm up by the fire whenever I wanted. But these amazing creatures don't have that luxury. These are young seals, probably last year's pups, enjoying playing in the surf. But in the distance, I could see something paler, a bright yellowy colour, lying still on the rocks. It was the unmistakable fluff ball of a newborn baby seal, sleeping more than it's awake, just like a human baby. It's important for all sorts of reasons to keep your distance from seals. They are wild animals after all, and the females, known as cows, are aggressively protective of their pups. I'm using a long zoom lens on my camera, and after a few minutes marvelling at its cuteness, I moved away from the area altogether. The range of weather conditions on this island still has the power to surprise me. You can have a gale of wind that quickly dissipates and suddenly it's flat calm and you're swatting the midges away. But you can also have days or weeks on end of bitterly cold wind and rain, making it hard to go outside in anything less than 3 layers. Each kind of weather has its own perks and uses on the farm, and I wouldn't have it any other way. There may not be any conventional waterfalls here, but you do occasionally get reverse ones when the wind is powerful enough. The seals are such inquisitive animals. It's little wonder they're often referred to as the dogs of the sea. Don't tell me this young seal isn't playing in the surf just for the hell of it, because I won't believe you. It's little wonder that they seize their moments to have some fun, given they're exposed to the elements all year round. This is my last footage from 2023 when I was last here. It's been such a privilege to share our island life with you, and I can't wait to show you more from this year. You'll see us clipping the sheep, exploring the amazing archaeological history of the island, and even exploring the seabed on a snorkeling trip. So if you want to see some of that, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheerio.